Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. You kicking it with Reezy, and judging from the title, I'm going to tell you guys my coming out story today. I know that might surprise, or it might not surprise a lot of you, but I just wanted to share that story and how it went down for me. And for those of you asking about my tattoo, it's right here, right there. So yeah, hopefully I might get more, maybe not. I don't know, but so yeah, here we go. Right into it. I knew that I liked guys when I was 4 years old. I knew that pretty quickly, based off of some incidents that had happened with me very very young. And once I saw how the world and how certain people reacted to it, I immediately suppressed all emotion, all feeling, and all thoughts about it. And I did that for the majority of elementary, middle, high school, and for the first little bit of my college experience. So that was something that really hindered, my imagination, but it made me grow up really young, which I guess makes me a little bit more wise than others, because I had to grow up at a young age and understand what was going on. But things didn't really start to kick off until like the senior year of high school. I was more so focused on basketball and on academics and getting into college, which was my main focus. I really didn't think about it. It was pushed to the back of my head, but I was more focused on my friends and basketball and getting into college, which was the most important thing to me at the time. But once I graduated, I went straight into college that summer to UCF to get a head start, just start early and see what could happen for me in terms of my major and what it is I wanted to do with my life here. So I got into college, and that's when everything moved from the back of my head to everything that I thought about at all times, which was a good thing and a bad thing for me. But for the majority of freshman year, it started a little slow. It didn't really start to kick off until I fell for my roommate, which he was straight, and those of us in the community know that we're not supposed to fall for our straight friends, because that actually isn't a good thing for us. Never really works out too well. But which it was fine. I told him about what was going on and things like that, and that's actually when Love, Simon was coming out. So I used that to help me tell him how I felt and who I was and how I was feeling at the time, which telling him was the hardest part about it, because I had never told anyone before. But once I told him, that spring semester I was dealing with rejection, and I was dealing with, this is actually who I am now, and I had trouble accepting that. Even to this day, I still kind of do have trouble accepting it, which is kind of rough for me in terms of my emotions and mental today. But back to the story. It was that spring semester. He encouraged me. It would help you to tell people. He would tell me, you should tell these people, your friends, family, and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know, I don't really want to, but I was encouraged. And I thought maybe, he's right. Maybe I should do some things like that. And I told some other people that summer after spring semester, and I told like a group of my friends that spring semester. And each time I told, another person or a group of people, it didn't really make me feel any better. It was more so like I was giving away a part of me that I had. Like it was my thing. Like it was my thing to deal with, and like kind of felt like I was not ready for it, even though I did it, and like that kind of put a hindrance on my emotions for it, and I didn't really feel any better. I still don't really know how it really works like that, but that's exactly what happened. That's how I felt. And I told some people, told more people, and eventually people started to just know. And it didn't really affect me if people knew at that point. It didn't make me feel any better. It didn't make me feel any happier, or like the burden had been lifted. from my shoulders or if anything was going to be better. But I knew that better now than never, or better now than later. That was the one thing that was kind of in my head at the time. So now we're into the fall of my sophomore year, and it's known by a few people, and the more people I met, the more friends that I made. It kind of came out. That was ironic, but it kind of came out, sooner or later that Kyrie didn't like girls. So some people were very surprised. Some people had no idea. Some people were a little disappointed, but it was fine. I haven't had really a bad experience with people with telling people, but that really, like I said, the burden wasn't really lifted. It was just me telling people. Nothing really changed about me. It was just a part of me that people didn't know, and that they got to know. And that was really just the fall for me. And then the spring, I had started getting into some apps, you know what I mean? Those apps for dating and for other stuff. And I was told that they would make things better for me. And I feel like I jumped into them a little too prematurely because I didn't really know what I was getting into, because I had not really done anything in the community for like the majority of my life. So it was very new. It was very new to me. And once I started getting into those things, it put a damper on my self-esteem because it made me realize what people actually see and what people, base their opinions off of, which is fine. I'm kind of over that now, but like back then during the fall and spring of my sophomore year, it was like it put a real damper on my self-esteem and how I saw myself, and it like put me in a really bad place. But then I got through the summer. That helped me get me back in order, and then came my junior year, which in the fall is when I decided to tell my dad finally, which I forgot to mention. I told my mom my sophomore year. She was, cool about it. She really didn't have any opinions on it. She was just like, oh, okay. And then, like I said, the junior year in the fall, I told my dad, which was a really big roller coaster for me and for some people around me. And, that took a turn for me, especially because at that time I was, 21, and which is the age that I am now. And it was just something that really made me feel very uncomfortable. So, but even after telling my mom and dad, there was no like ultimate like lift of weight off my shoulders or off my heart or anything like that. It was more so just, okay, they know. It wasn't, I'm not sure if it was that I was not ready to tell them, or if I was just, talked into telling them, or if, I don't know really what it was, but at this point it's happened and it was done. And throughout the junior year, it was, me dealing with all of that up until now, which we're in the summer, which is going to be me leading into my senior year of college. And I'm still, dealing with a whole bunch of other stuff that has to go on with me, or like that deals with me and that part of me. And it's been a roller coaster, but like that's really how my story goes. It's not very, exciting or, filled with events. I mean, it kind of is, but like most of those events were kind of bad for me, like telling this person or telling that person, because it made me feel really bad. It made me feel nervous, and it, like I said, it didn't make me feel any better. It kind of made me feel worse after telling people and stuff like that. So like my story is just something that I just wanted to share that with you all and let you guys know how that happened for me. It's very different from your regular coming out story. And, I had to go through, it gets better, and still wondering when that, is going to come. But, like, I'm doing pretty well now. with it all in terms of how it's going for me. I'm still, you know, going through it, but like it's definitely something that is a big part of my life and that not a lot of people know. But I've been really fortunate enough to share it with you guys and for you guys to know who I am, and like, you know, that part of me that I don't really tell people, I guess, unless they ask. That's been my whole thing. If they ask, then I'll tell them, but if not, then I guess you really wouldn't know, unless, you know, you ask. But yeah, that is my story, and I hope that, you know, someone out there that's in, you know, college or high school sees it and they know that there are people out there that are still going through it and that they're not alone, and that, you know, it just takes a lot of patience, endurance, and resolve to, you know, push yourself to keep going. So, and that's just a message for anybody that's going through anything. You know, keep pushing yourself, do better, work to be a part of the solution, not the problem, and, you know, just continue to be yourself. And that's my story. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, thank you for kicking it with Reezy today, and I'll see you next time.